I will just start with case scenario. This was a case referred to our center following cesarean section. She was a second candidate. The cesarean section done at 39 weeks for failed trial vacuum. Intraoperatively, there was nothing special, but after 3 hours, she was found in shock, vaginal bleeding, and it was diagnosed as a case of atonic PPH, and management started and finally ended in hysterectomy. And as there was no improvement, she was referred to a higher center. Coming to the tertiary care center, it was found to be have a lateral vaginal laceration about 6 centimeters, which was going on bleeding, and we had to suture it and escape the patient. So just I want to highlight this: traumatic and atonic PPH can coexist together, so don't miss it. And here what happened is traumatic PPH which was not attended to led on to the shock, and this hypovolemic shock precipitate atonicity, DIC, and everything was concentrated on atonicity, and that is what happened in this case. So coming to the traumatic PPH, what are the common causes? Usually what we see is most of the cases it is bleeding from the corner of uterine incisions and lateral extension of the uterine incision into the broad ligament producing broad ligament hematoma. There can be vertical tears, usually in the lower flap, or V-shaped tears in the upper and lower mostly in the upper flap of the uterine incision. And highly vascular lower uterine segment can be there, which will be cause of the bleeding. Injury to the inferior epigastric artery. Most of the cases come with subrectal hematoma, which is diagnosed third day, fourth day, like that. And severe intrauterine infection where they had very, very soft tissues. And lastly, rupture uterus. Okay. So what the things to be remembered is whenever you do surgery, take certain principles so that the bleeding can be reduced. So start cautery use. When you open the abdomen, use of cautery will minimize the bleeding. And be careful when you open the peritoneum, especially whether there is a previous cesarean or previous laparotomy, etc. So try to open the peritoneum in the upper one third. And if you find any omental additions, don't spend time to separate the whole additions. Just enough for that you can get in and deliver the baby. And then there is additions, especially for post-operative rapid section or laparotomy. Try to release these additions by sharp dissection. When you bluntly tear it, it can tear because of fibrous tissue. And always look for the anatomy after opening the abdomen. Some uterus may become completely destro-rotated, or even complete torsion of the uterus can happen very rarely. So always restore the anatomy and then only proceed with the surgery. You're opening the UV fold, don't push down the bladder too much. It can be bleeding from the bladder base. Simple things you have to keep in mind. Uterine incision. Usually some will prefer to cut on either side, or some will stretch the fingers. So when you cut it, the advantage is that you can have a control over the length of the incision. And if you go laterally, if it is vascular, you can avoid the blood vessels and go laterally. But if it is stretching it, always you can go laterally and can involve the uterine vessels. But so when you are used to stretch it, when you come to the lateral, always the stretching should be in the upward and downward direction, not laterally. So it can extend to the vessels and have bleeding. And before you start suturing, look for extension of the scissors, any extension of the wound, any tears, and secure. Important thing is secure both corners of the incision before you start suturing. Usually we used to secure the right corner first and then start suturing from the other side. Okay, when to anticipate problems? All these are the problems that you can come across. So you should have an anticipation when they are going to face this. And the most common is second stage cesarean section. And comes preterm cesarean section where the lower segment will be very narrow. In some cases, transversely with certain situations like dorso-anterior presentation, patient is coming late in labor with no liquor and the baby uterus contract over the fetus. It will be difficult to turn the baby inside. So it is going to be a difficult situation. Uniconate uterus when you are going to do cesarean. Then tubectomy along with cesarean section can give rise to problems, and moderate and severe degree of desudalization of the uterus and severe sepsis. I'm not going to touch upon rupture uterus because Serena madam is going to elaborate on that. And coming back to second stage cesarean, this is the most common problem when you get so much traumatic PPH. So what are the problems with second stage cesarean section? It is a deeply engaged head. You can see sometimes the caput will be visible at the vulval outlet. So that is very difficult to deliver that head. Overstretched and thinned out lower uterine segment. A nick in the lower uterine segment can extend very much. and distended bladder, distended bowel. The whole anatomy is distorted. You don't know about where are you. Sometimes the incision you put on the lower segment may be on the vagina, and you are going to deliver the baby through the vagina. That is what is called as electrotomy. So because of distorted anatomy, it is very important. So what are the solutions you can taken care of? So the decision to do cesarean section in the second stage should be taken by a senior obstetrician. Very, very, very important, because some of these cases can be delivered by either forceps or vacuum. The juniors or the residents or the junior trainees who are there in the labor room, or the junior registers, they are not confident, or they are not trained to do proper instrumental delivery. So they take a decision for cesarean section. Other thing is they are afraid of the litigations if there is something happens to mother or the baby. All these contribute to more and more cesarean in the second stage. So that is I told you the decision should be taken by a senior obstetrician whenever it is in the second stage. And the common cause we found, the cause for this more and more sensitization second stage is diagnosis of arrest of labor. And this is early diagnosis. If you ample time, wait for 2 to 3 hours in a primary and 1 to 2 hours in a multi. If there is the mother and baby is okay, there are no problem. Most of them, so majority of them will deliver by the time. And some recommendations is goes that you can wait up to 4 hours with epidural. Even if you are not waiting up to 4 hours, maximum you can give 2 to 3 hours. So unless you can rule out CPD and other abnormal presentations, everything is safe. You give time, most of them will deliver. So the decision making is very, very important. And suppose you have to do a cesarean after full dilatation, what are the precautions you are taking? You make sure that the senior obstetrician is present and anesthetist during surgery. Because you find any difficulty in delivering the head, that is not the time to go and call a senior obstetrician. So the senior obstetrician should be present, and just ask for general anesthesia, because all these manipulations will be easy under general anesthesia rather than spinal or epidural. And low lithotomy position, very important. Suppose you are going for a push technique, so it will be the ideal the patient is lithotomy position, already low lithotomy position, it will be easy. And tell the anesthetist you want tendral lumbar position, so that the head will receive someday, so it will be easy to do it. And some days tocolitis literally may be used some cases. And the incision you put on the abdomen should be slightly higher than the usual, and also the uterine incision at a higher level. I'm not going for all these simple things, continuous bladder training that you do for all patients, a catheter there. And after opening the abdomen, I told you the whole anatomy will be distorted, and the uterine incision also should be at a higher level. And always be careful, because the small nick on the uterine segment will stretch a lot too much. So cut it or stretch it. As I told you, when you are stretching it, give anteroposterior direction, not transversely, so that can avoid the extension of the broad ligament. And very, very important, adopt the mode of delivery you are used to. So many methods are there: push technique and Pudworthens, modified Pudworthens, reverse breech extraction. So whatever you are used to do, that is the time you can don't go for what to do. So you have to determine early what method you are going to do. Suppose, I think simple thing, after anesthesia, after opening the abdomen, before you put the incision, you try to palpate the head. If one pole is palpable per abdomen, they say it can take time for your relief, because that head will not give much difference. Suppose both poles are not available, the whole head has gone into the pelvis, you are going to have the problem with the head. So if you are going for a push technique, that your assistant will be ready with a gloved hand, and you try to introduce your finger, go below the presenting part, try to elevate it, flex it and elevate it. And if it is difficult, you take your hand outside, then ask your assistant to give the push the head from below. And for this, you have to use a cup of the hand, not the two fingers. That will produce injury to the scalp of the baby. And now they say you can use the Silastic cup without pressure. You can apply to the head. With that, you can elevate the fetal head so that it will come up. And there are also other methods like fetal pillow, etc. Because of lack of time, I'm not going to that. Or you can go for a reverse breech extraction, or you can use the modified Pudworthens or the ordinary Pudworthens method. But when you put the incision, some days, most of the cases, the shoulder will come out. Don't get panic when the shoulder comes, so don't try to push back the shoulder. With that, you can deliver it. Or to avoid that, what you have to do is, with the left hand, you slightly ask the patient in tendrilum position, push up the shoulder slightly upwards, and your incision should be below that, and you ask your assistant to hold the shoulder in that position. So usually the shoulder will not pop out. So whatever you are used to do, you have to do it, adopt that method and do it, then there won't be any panic. So if it is a lateral extension, just go tired. After that, you delivery the baby, you exteriorize the uterus and look for tears, extension, etc. Just second stage, it can mostly can be there can be tears or extension. I mean, if it's a lateral tear, always identify the ureter in the lateral tears before you start. It's very important that you may injure the ureter. And then comes the vertical tears in the lower flap. You need to nicely push down the bladder, get the apex of the tear, and then only start suturing. You can use interrupter stitches, and don't, because if you miss it, it can be the cause of bleeding, where you may miss it and she will be again going on bleeding, and you reopen her. And see, the posterior layer of broad ligament is always intact. You can put your whole hand behind the uterus, a posterior layer of the uterus, and see whether there is any rent or like you can repair that. And bladder injury is suspected, you just do the dye test for that, and you have to repair it always. And as I told you, some DT had said earlier, always inspect the vagina and the cervix after cesarean section, especially if it is following a failed instrumental delivery or IP version like that, because it can coexist some days. And another important cause for this traumatic PPH is inferior epigastric artery injury. Usually you cut when you, for difficulty to deliver the head, you say that there is some short, the diameter, the space is not enough, you usually start to cut the rectus muscle. And before cutting the rectus muscle, you see whether the incision in the rectus sheath is enough. You can extend the rectus incision, and if you cut the rectus muscle, always cut the medial 2/3 of the rectus muscle should be cut, guided by an artery clamp. Never go lateral to the muscles. Then comes preterm cesarean sections, very narrow lower uterine segment. It will be difficult. You sometimes today put transverse incision or a unicorn uterus. So in that cases, either you can go for a low vertical incision or a J-shaped incision. Suppose you put a low vertical incision, always be careful to push down the bladder nicely. And if it has extended the upper uterine segment, you have to record it in the discharge summary so that the next pregnancy, they can take care of it. And whenever you close the uterus, always cauterize and take care of the uterine corner. That is the most important thing you have to keep in mind. And some cases of transverse, I told you, no liker baby in the dorsal anterior position, it will be difficult to deliver. So prefer J-shaped incision. And the upward extension of the J should be on the podalic pole. It will be easy to get the foot of the baby. Sometimes if the one J-shaped incision, they have to, if you put on both sides J-shaped incision, avoid inverted T-shaped incision. Never go for inverted T-shape, even if you want to cut the other side also. And cesarean section with the concurrent tubectomy. Occasionally, we will get a case with coming with bleeding after cesarean or second day, and what the cause of the bleeding is from the tubal stump. So when you want to do concurrent sterilization, most of the cases you cannot see the tube. So you don't try to hook out the fallopian tube. You can tear the the tube is very secure, the mesentery may tear. So whatever you can do is, if the tube is not accessible, you can just give traction to the round ligament, bring the round ligament anteriorly, then you can get the tube and take care of it. Another important thing is that after tubectomy, always tubal stump should be looked for any bleeding. Make sure that there is no bleeding from the cut edge of the tube. That is the most common site we start bleeding. Then comes some cases I have seen moderate to severe degree of desudalization of the uterus. Opening the abdomen, you have red velvety patches over the uterus, that is desudalization. If you start bleeding, it is very difficult to control the bleeding. So whenever there is anterior desudalization, don't try to exteriorize the uterus. If you try to exteriorize the uterus and general bleeding, it will be very difficult to control that bleeding. And severe sepsis. Intrauterine sepsis, all the tissues are friable, and it is the more chance of tears, etc. You have to be very careful when you do the cesarean severe sepsis. I think these are the few points that came into my mind, and rest of the thing I think Paili sir will add to this. Okay, thank you for giving me the chance, Paili sir, and anticipation of the problems, adherence to surgical principles, and avail help whenever needed. We can bring down traumatic PPH during cesarean section. Thank you.